Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, you're having a great week. It's Thursday again, man. It's crazy. It's we got Halloween coming on Monday. This year's going by too fast. It's just wild. So hopefully, you're having a good week. Yeah, it's been a kind of a crazy one here. Weather today is terrible. I was hoping to go out and play. Actually, I was hoping to go out and play last week. Didn't quite work out. The weather was garbage. It was raining, and then I think I had a tee time for like 4 o'clock. It was cold, rainy. I got like a DM from a guy who is a buddy of mine who was just like, "I can't believe you're gonna go play today," after hearing the show, and it was just brutal. So I didn't go play last week. I was gonna go to the range today, but again, raining today, so just brutal day. But we got some fun show today, and before I get into that, want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist. And listen, Titleist TSR metals represent the deepest, most complete, most validating understanding of the tee shot ever held within their walls. Every aspect of impact has been considered, constructed, and optimized in service of the singular desire to produce more playable distance from every swing. It's a world of performance that explodes to life the instant the club begins to descend. New TSR drivers take everything that made TSI the number one driver on tour and pack even more performance into every head. From new face technologies to CG improvements and aerodynamic refinements, when everything moves the needle, you're playing at Titleist speed. There is a greater speed hiding in your swing, and TSR provides the means to find it. Whether it's spin control, launch angle, or impact point, we can match you with the configuration that lets you max out more consistently and produce faster ball speed than that actually shows up on the course. So find your faster and take it with you with TSR. So go to Titleist.com, learn more about the TSR metals, and schedule your fitting today. Titleist TSR, find your faster. So, yeah, big week. I got a fun show. I was actually on Instagram a little while ago. Actually, I've been trying to kind of set this up, and I've dropped the ball a couple times with doing this. But I started following a company called Hatch Golf, which is actually local to Michigan, kind of a Metro Detroit company, which is pretty cool. But they make some really awesome head covers, accessories, stuff like that. And I've been kind of following them for a little while now, and reached out. And I was just like, dude, I'd love to have you on the show to talk about head covers, because I always have this like dream of designing my own head covers and stuff like that. I have absolutely zero artistic skill or creative skill whatsoever. So unless we're making a cover with a stick figure on it, I'm probably not going to be starting my own head cover company. But Sean did, and it's pretty cool. They do a lot of really cool stuff. So have him on. It's a good long show, man. I thought we were going to be like 30 minutes. Ended up being like an hour. But it's cool. He pretty much gets into like kind of how he started. And, kind of the first kind of covers all that, and then kind of where he's gone, and how weird it is to see your product in other people's bags. So it's a fun show. He's a really nice guy. I told him that I definitely want to come out there and check out his shop, kind of see how they make covers and all that. I think it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so check it out. This is a whole episode, Hatch Golf, on making custom golf club accessories, head covers, towels, all that stuff. It was a real blast. So check that out, and then also follow me on Instagram, man, at Club Junkie Pod. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. I'm actually just about to start to do the Q&A. So jump on there, ask me some questions about whatever, and enjoy the podcast with Sean of Hatch Golf. It was a blast. All right, everybody. So we're back, and again, I don't have a ton of guests on my show. I mean, I typically ride my thing solo, but I kind of came across, as I said before, Hatch Golf, which is a Michigan company, which I was kind of blown away with. And I kind of feel bad because I was kind of late to the follow in terms of what you guys have been doing. But I've got Sean from Hatch Golf onto the show because I want to talk about accessories in golf, because it is such an awesome space. There's so much creativity. There's so much cool stuff going on. And I can't draw stick figures. So for me, designing a head cover is an absolute dream of mine that I just know I'll never accomplish. But Sean, what's going on, man? How are things at Hatch Golf today?
Things are good. We're busy. We're gearing up for Halloween stuff. We've done a couple releases and have one more to go. So we're just hitting the stride, I guess you would say. But is speaking to what you were saying, we could easily do a head cover for you. So,
yeah. I'm about to say it would have to be all you, because, like I said, my drawing and creativity skills. I could build a golf club. I can't necessarily, draw anything that's worth looking at. But yeah, so you're
on cover.
That's true. We could make it real simple. It'll be like like children's preschool artwork, and that'll be my cover.
funny story real quick is we had someone do that. The wife sent in a picture of the kids' drawings, and we just put it right on the head cover.
Dude.
For the dad for a birthday gift, and he was blown away because it was just his kids' drawings on the cover. So it was kind of fun.
That's actually pretty awesome, to be honest. Like, that's a pretty cool idea to do.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter, is 3. She makes some kind of interesting artwork at school. So
I understand. My daughter's 5, so
yeah. So I mean, Hatch Golf. How did this whole thing kind of start? I mean, it's one of those things where I know when I first jumped on your site, the first thing I saw was on IG, and it was head covers. And I don't remember what release you were what you had at that time or what it was, but I just remember looking at it and being like, wow, that's a really cool head cover. Hit follow, and kind of went through your feed and just kind of saw a lot of the products you made. But I know you do more than just head covers now. But kind of where was the start? Like, how did you get started in creating Hatch Golf? Like, where does the story kind of begin?
Yeah, no. So actually, funny enough, it was called Blue Birdie Golf to start. That was, I think, 2018 we started that. So it was just me. I used an outside manufacturer. I would send them designs, and then they would make the head covers. And, the lead time was very long. So it was kind of more of a hobby. I'm a designer by trade. I did that for 12 years, freelance for all kinds of Fortune 50 to Fortune 500 companies to startups, everything you could think of. I did a lot of logos, branding, identity. And I was always working. Yes, I was working for myself, but I was also always working for someone and their project. I loved golf, and I just wanted to do something for myself. Have a physical product that I actually designed or, at least had a hand in making. And, so, I did that for a few years. And then kind of what happened was the manufacturer said, see you later to a lot of their smaller accounts. And, we were pretty small. Like I said, it was a hobby. And so I said, well, I want to continue to do this. I don't know how to, but I'm going to learn and just I'm just going to figure it out, I guess. And so I bought all the equipment to do it. I bought a warehouse, and I said, okay, it's all here. Now what? So, my brother-in-law quit his job of 17 years to come work for me. And
wow,
we kind of learned it together for the first 3 or 4 months, 5 months, I'd say. And, we figured it out. We started, getting the process down, and, we've obviously learned things along the way. Even now, I feel like, just last week I was learning something new, but, that's kind of how it all started. And then, one of the covers went viral, or a couple of the releases went kind of viral, if you will. And people, they got all kinds of crazy, like, aftermarket sales, and then everybody started hopping in, and everything grew, and it was nuts. It was chaos. And so from there, we've hired a couple people in different specialties to kind of help us, facilitate that growth, and then also kind of come in and be experts in those areas and even teach us. So that's kind of where we're at now. But
that's pretty awesome. When you first got into this, it was just kind of make some cool things for you, maybe, a few friends, other golfers, whatever. And right. You never went into it thinking this was going to be like your full-time job.
No,
right?
Definitely not. I literally it was just an outlet for me to be creative, to see designs that I produced on physical goods. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed and kind of blew up a little bit. So it's been kind of a crazy ride the last year.
And was like head covers kind of the first thing you got in? Like, was that like kind of your first thing you said, man, I really just want to make a head cover, like when you first started out? Or was it polos or towels or shirts? Or like what was kind of the first thing that got you really into it? Was it head covers?
It was head covers. I don't know why head covers. I think it was, I honestly, I couldn't tell you why I chose that route, because, a lot of people do ball markers or polos or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm big on the apparel side. Even now with Hatch, we haven't really even, we've dabbled, I guess you would say. We've done some collaborations with Levelwear and some other makers of apparel, but we haven't gone like a whole like Bad Birdie route where everything was just like kind of cohesive and had like an entire like fall package or spring package or whatever like that. We kind of like, oh, we have a cool logo, let's throw it on a shirt and then let's offer the shirt up. But with head covers, I don't know. I think it probably stemmed from, I was a tinkerer in golf equipment. So I had like 12 putters at one time. And, you know, I think it was just kind of fun to have all these different looks and I always covered my putter. I know like you have people that never cover their putter and then you have some that always do. So I feel like it's always this, like either that or this. So, and yeah, I guess from there, it probably just stemmed from there. And it was fun to see the embroidery and the different creativity that you could do with it. But
and before you started doing like your own, I mean, were you into collecting? Like, were you into, because I know that's a huge thing now, is like head cover and other type of items from specific brands. People are really into either collecting them or getting their hands on them, whatever. Were you one of those guys? Like, were you into like collecting, say, Cameron covers or something like that before you started kind of on your own?
Not Cameron, but yes. I'm sure you've heard of him, Tyson Lamb.
Yep.
I loved his, I'm not sure what I got into first, his metal goods or his putter covers. But I'm a donut guy, so like I love donuts. I could eat a donut every day. We bring donuts into the shop basically 3 times a week. So when he came out, I think he was either a donut cover or a donut ball marker. I immediately like, oh yes, this is awesome. I want to collect these. And I think the hard part was, you know, they started growing in value. And I remember gaming one of his covers or one of his ball markers on the course, and you know, I think it was worth $300-400 at the time, and just lost it. I lost it, and I'm like, like that sucked. But you know, it was, yeah. I think Tyson Lamb was probably my first collector, kind of like how I got into it a little bit. So, yeah,
that's awesome, because I've always been an admirer. I'm that guy, like I admire a lot of like the shoe game, and I think there's a lot of awesome shoes, but I'm never going to be the guy staying up and, you know, basically building my life around trying to get my hands on them. And it was kind of the same thing with either Cameron or Lamb or, you know, Bettinardi, whatever those guys were when they came out with some of those releases. Like, I always admired them and I loved them, but I never was the guy who was like chasing down my computer to try to jump online and try to get something. So I don't necessarily have a collection, but I totally get where people do go nuts over it. Because I think with golf, it's getting to this, especially with your bag and your head covers and whatever, there's a lot of us kind of hardcore golfers who, you want to be a little different. You want to have something that expresses something. Like, you don't just want the Titleist or the you know, the Callaway head cover that came with your driver or your 3-wood or whatever. Like, you want something a little different. And nowadays, you know, with companies like Hatch, like, there's so many cool options of, you know, hey, you may not be into this release, but wait for the next one. Maybe you're into that. Yeah. There's so many options that you can really match and contrast the bag in a way that you never could before. Like, it was just like, here's your OEM head cover, or maybe here's the Pebble Beach one when you went out there to play, and that was it. And now, I mean, there's something for everybody, no matter what you're into. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, there is. I mean, one of the things that kind of actually I forgot to even mention was Blue Birdie that was my first company kind of starting it. That was like a way to bring my wife and my daughter out on the course. We have a thing with Blue Jays, and so we were like, you know, that was how Blue Birdie kind of started. And then, you know, it was always a way to express, or, you know, you see it a lot with, like, I think Daphne makes head covers. They make the stuffed animals. People like to buy their dog or, you know, parrots. I don't know. Anything. Like, there's even companies that'll do like full replicas of what a person might look like and bring that on the course. But yeah, there's a good market for accessorizing your bag or whatever you're kind of doing. Like, I know for like a 4th of July or Veterans Day or some type of American patriotic holiday, I'll dress the bag up in full red, white, and blue and, you know, go all out. So, but it's fun. Yeah, it's fun to accessorize.
Well, I think also too, like with these accessories, like you kind of have, like you, especially from you being like a design background, with head covers, there's not like a limit. Like, you can't just say like, oh, well, I'm just going to make a head cover that celebrates this course or this iconic venue or whatever. Like, you can do anything. I mean, you could literally walk down the street, take inspiration from your neighbor's car and make a head cover. Like, you don't really have any limits. Like, do you have like kind of that genre of like things that you may hit first? Like, are you a car guy or like a watch guy or whatever? Like, is there certain things that like trigger you before anything else in terms of when you're coming up with a design?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I'm a huge car guy. Not so much the American Muscle. I grew up like Fast and Furious. It's so funny. I love tuners. I loved, you know, this like the GTR that Paul Walker drove in all the Fast and Furiouses, and you know, and I've even thought about doing some type of like graphic or like some type of release that had kind of like this OG Fast and Furious style decals they used to have on all the the RX-7, things like that. You know, you're doing one for the Challenger. I think that Dom drove in the movies.
Yep.
You know, I love bringing pop culture into Hatch. You know, recently we did some kind of Star Wars inspired covers. You know, we try not to go. I feel like with everything we do, we try to be as ambiguous as we can because, you know, it's the licensing and all these types of issues. You know, we don't want to go into you know, copyright infringement and things like that. So we tend to steer clear of a lot of like slapping a character on the head, which we see other companies doing. We're like, yeah, we're not going to go that route. But, you know, something that might tie in a movie or tie in a scene, if you will, or like armor or like an outfit, something like that. We like to try to dabble there. But, you know, people have fallen in love with the Hatch brand and, you know, kind of like our egg. We have our electric egg, lightning bolt, and then we have like our alter ego guy, which took on a life of its own. And, you know, all these different things, and people have fallen in love with these characters, I guess you would say. And so it's helped, not helped, but like, it's kind of like allowed us to do more fun things with our own brand, let alone, you know, having to come up with different themed ideas all the time. So
yeah, have you ever come close where you kind of had an idea that either maybe made it or didn't made it, that you were like, oh boy, we may get a little letter from a lawyer or something like that? Have you ever kind of pushed the limit a little too far in your own mind?
Yeah. A lot of ideas. I just don't think we're ever going to go there. You know, I've reached out to many companies about licensing, you know, and I haven't heard a lot of back. I'm kind of disappointed in that regard. There's a market for it too. You know, we've wanted to work with like In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A or Tesla or, you know, any company that would be fun to kind of integrate with. And Fago, I think, is another one. And
that'd be awesome.
Like local Michigan companies too. And it's like you reach out, and you don't know who to reach out to because it's such a very, very weird, specific request. But, yeah, I think there's a market for that too. Like, I'm a huge Culver's guy, so I would love to do something with Culver's. I know that sounds so weird, but like throw Culver's on there and do something with, you know, just people. It's kind of funny that way, but
I'm down. I want a cheese curd head cover. I may go online and try to snag that up, but we get a cheese curd head cover.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the market is so like it shifts all the time, or not shifts, but like you can do things just instantly for like something that went viral. So like a good example is, you know, I used to work with Case, and they're a great company. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah.
And so I saw a release that they did about corn. Because there's like this song that went viral about this kid that loves corn on TikTok and Instagram, and it's just this funny song. And I saw a few companies making head covers about corn, and it's just like it's just funny. I mean, people love it, you know. It's just one way to accessorize the bag. So yeah.
No, it totally is, and not even the bag. I mean, look behind you. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you look behind, you've got a ton, or a handful, I'm going to say, of covers that you've done. I mean, just behind me, like most of my stuff is from courses or whatever that I've been to and in events and things like that. But I mean, not only do you put them on the bag, but they're cool things to hang, you know, in your office or in your, you know, game room, or, you know, if you got a simulator room in your garage, whatever. Like, they're not necessarily just for the club. A lot of them are wall hangers, and they'll always be on display. So you don't necessarily have to have 25 putters to put a cover on. You can just get a rack and yeah, exactly. And you mentioned like the egg. There's a couple different versions, and I think it's kind of interesting because, like you said, like when certain brands get to a point, they have their characters, and you know, a lot of bigger names have had little characters, and they've gone through many iterations of what they've done. How cool is it to see like you came up with kind of an egg as a logo for the brand, and now it is turning into kind of a loved little person in a sense. Like it's kind of interesting to see that go that route, right?
Yeah, it's weird, but it's awesome. Like, I love, like, the funny thing about, like, you know, you have collectors for both sides, I guess you would say. Like, we have collectors that love the lightning bolt egg and the things we do with that, and then we have tons of guys. And I would say, like, if you're looking at a resale, like, secondary market, the alter ego is probably the guy that people seem to gravitate towards to, you know, make money or flip. And then we have we have quite a few collectors of the So I can actually show you. So like I just pulled them down off the wall. So like this is our electric egg logo guy. This is like that's the main logo, and then this guy, we just recently did this for breast cancer awareness. We did some crazy.
Oh wow, yeah.
So you can kind of see he's got like a two-faced type of look there. That's the one that people seem to collect the most of, and then this is like our US of A kind of design that we've started with a long time ago. But yeah, it's weird to see like different people collect different things, you know. Just trying to hit different markets, I guess, is probably the best way to look at it.
Yeah, and is there like, do you take a little caution with trying to make 1,000 different versions of the egg? I mean, because I bet it's pretty easy where you could just be sitting there, like you said, something pop culture would up, and it pops up and jumps into your mind, and it's like, oh, we could make this egg and that egg, and then all of a sudden you could have like 1,000 of them, when
Right.
really a handful in cool different ways. Like, is it tough to kind of like pull yourself back sometimes from stuff like that?
Yes, but I'd say this: like my short list of ideas is probably 1,000 ideas long. I mean, not just for the egg, but just in covers in general. I have, you know, it's hard to temper kind of like a once a week kind of release type of idea, because there's just I have so many different things that we want to get out. But we, you know, the funny thing is we get sent, you know, from customers like, oh, you should try this, oh, you should try this, or like, well, we'll get to it like in 2025. So we're trying to hit our own list, and you know that's another thing is we do take on manufacturing for other companies now too, and I think we're probably one of the only companies that do their own, and then also work with other companies to do theirs, and so it's like this weird kind of balance of, okay, don't send me your idea yet. Let's talk about this. Just letting you know that if it's on my list, then I don't want you to feel like we're going to steal it or going to do something similar. So there's this weirdness of trying to make sure that, you know, we're very upfront and transparent with who we work with about what we're doing in terms, you know, in that regard. So
when you're working with other companies, and again, we don't have to say who they are, but like, is that more like limited run type stuff, or are you talking like an OEM like stock cover for a line of putters, or is it both? Like, what do you kind of work with the most?
So far, like, you know, we dabbled in wholesale. It's, you know, it was more of a, okay, why shut down our machines to do a $40 or $50 cover when we can do our own if they're running full time, you know, at 100 or 115 or whatever, you know. But I've always looked at it like a collaborative thing where if it's a cool event or you have a cool cover or however you want to say it, you know, if you have something that speaks to us essentially or speaks to me, then we're probably going to do it. That's, you know, that's why we worked with Super Stroke on their US Open cover. I'm like,
yeah,
that gives us instant credibility that we got to work with Super Stroke. And there's a couple guys that have been doing events, and we've gotten to do some of their event covers. And, you know, recently I got to not befriend, but I get to work a lot now with Scott Stallings on the PGA Tour.
Oh, yeah.
So that's been kind of neat to kind of go down that road and see how that kind of opens up some new doors and new avenues. But, you know, if it's the right fit, we'd love to. And I think, funny enough, just this morning I put out there that if you're a putter maker, you know, I want to at least get the conversation going. And, you know, I think that's ultimately could be like a nice consistent thing that we could kind of work with, kind of like the bespoke or artisan kind of putter makers. So
yeah, and I think like now, especially like, you know, with you and all these, you know, other brands making these just amazing covers, like I think if you're someone making putters, you know, the cover is probably a little bit of an afterthought. Like, I mean, the person's probably, you know, we're making a putter, but having the ability to go work with like a Hatch Golf, which, you know, it's not like, oh, well, here's just a black cover with your company logo. Like, great,
Yeah.
here's 5,000 of them. Have fun. Like, if they can go to you and make some really cool stuff that, you know, not only do people want the putter, but then the head cover with it is also awesome. Like, I think, you know, it's pretty cool that you can make that even a little more special than just, you know, what it could be. And like I said, I don't think a lot of putter manufacturers, I know a couple of guys who made their own putters for a while. Some still do. And the putter, the shaft, the grip was kind of just like, it was just kind of the afterthought. Like the head is what they're worried about. They're trying to get the design right and, you know, the performance the way they want it and all that. And then it's like, oh yeah, I need a cover. Like somebody sent me a black cover with my logo. And it's like, well, if you have something that's a little cooler or whatever that you can do, that's a pretty cool offering for people who are into your brand.
Yeah, and you know, the design background for me lends itself to, you know, I can make stuff probably a lot quicker than someone who doesn't have experience in that.
Yeah.
And I can mock it up in, less than an hour probably, if they have just any type of basic logo that I can replicate and make my own design. So that is a benefit is I have, and then also I work with other illustrators and designers on stuff. And that, with how busy Hatch has gotten, I can't design every single cover now. There's just no way. So I work with my own stuff, and I work with other company or other illustrators now. And it's been, that in itself, I think, is probably the best part, is because I worked in the industry for 12 years. I know a lot of people and a lot of companies and a lot of illustrators and designers that I can kind of reach out to and say, hey, this would be perfect for you. Because I can't design every app. I guess I should say like mine is, my kind of style is more geometric. I wouldn't say geometric. I just have a different design style. So if I'm going to draw a person, it's going to take me a lot longer than someone specializes in drawing people. So that's probably the best way to explain it.
And is that tough though? Like, is that a little bit hard though? Like when you work with another illustrator, because their idea, like you could have a couple notes on a piece of paper that says, this is what I want for a cover. And their perception or visual of it could be exact opposite from yours.
Oh,
and,
yes.
The Hatch brand has kind of a look. Like when you go through, and if you go on hatchgolf.com and you scroll through some of the covers, like they all kind of have a Hatch look. Like they're all different, but they all kind of have a little bit of the same look. And another designer may not have that. So is it tough to kind of hand the reins over a little bit sometimes, or do you feel like you always kind of need to, design every cover?
Yes. But being in the industry for that long, I know how to articulate the concept. Kind of like, mood boarding is kind of crucial and key for helping a designer, see what I'm trying to go for. My experience probably helps and lends itself to kind of keep a consistent look. There's times like, for example, a good example would be our Constitution Day cover. I was like, I really wanted something different, so I hired kind of like a tattoo artist to give me this special kind of like inked look, if you will. And so all those covers have and they're not different. They still kind of mesh with our brand. But I wanted something like, so sometimes there's just different art directions that I can, help guide the designer in. But typically, if I get artwork that doesn't feel right, it just, I pay the designer and say, have a nice day. And I probably just doesn't see the light of day. There's been plenty of that. So, you have to take the good with the bad. But I find illustrators that work in my kind of style, and then we kind of go from there. So.
And how often does does a cover get to the point where you make a prototype, it actually makes it to, the embroidery machine, whatever you use to create it, and then you actually see the physical thing and you're just like, oh man, this isn't what I thought. Like the idea on paper, on the computer, everything was like so great. And then you see it in person, you're just going, it just doesn't work. Like, does that happen a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot, but it has happened. We've had so many. My brain scrambled in terms of what didn't make the cut. I think the biggest thing is typically there's versions of things that you probably won't see. So if we don't like the way it turns out, we probably have just worked on it to the point where we do like it. I have a hard time giving up on concepts, but I know typically if it's sitting on the way if it's sitting on a template. This is what it's going to look like embroidered. And there hasn't been a lot of once it's embroidered, that looks like crap.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of we should change this or do that. And then we kind of make it work. And, the only part of the process that we don't own is the digitizing. And if you're not familiar with that, that's like I send the artwork off to a company that basically tells the embroidery machine how to stitch it. So
okay.
If you look at a cover, every stitch line or stitch, if you will, has a direction, a length, and it's like a CNC machine. Everything has to be programmed in. And so there's just, there's different things that you have to kind of work through to get that to look right. And that's, again, like before May of last year, I've never seen a embroidery machine. You know what I mean? Never seen a sewing machine. And for people who don't know, is for the first 6 months, I sewed every single cover myself.
Really?
and I learned how to sew, and I did every possible job in the shop with my brother-in-law. And then we finally, like I said, I hired a seamstress, and now we kind of split some of that work. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of nuts if you think about it. Embroidery has been its own task, let alone learning how to sew and learning every other aspect of the business.
And embroidery is kind of a lot of what you do, but I mean, I know nowadays, especially with kind of how available a lot of stuff is, like, I mean, are you gonna start to see getting into kind of like rubber patches, leather stuff? I mean, it seems like kind of the sky's the limit when it comes to a head cover and what you can do. And like I said, most of the stuff that I've kind of scrolled through the site and your IG has been embroidered. But I mean, are there other avenues that you're kind of looking at as well that you could do some kind of cool stuff that you haven't been able to do before?
Yeah, the hard part with PVC patches and woven patches and those things is finding an American company to make those is tough. Not just tough. But I have a few things and resources like from Alibaba and AliExpress that I've used, and the only issue I've ever seen is just the lead times is always, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months, it could be 3 years. It feels like. There are different things. We haven't done a lot of like genuine, like thick leathers. We do a lot of high grade marine vinyl, just because we've seen that that's what outputs the best and what lasts like a ton of time outside. It's made for that. It's made for outdoors. It's made for boats, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, they don't discolor very, very quickly. I think I think it's like 500,000 hours or something crazy like that. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, so we've got some genuine leather in the shop now. I've kind of sourced some new stuff, and it would be nice to kind of do some more patchwork and more things like, or, I don't know, patchwork isn't the best described.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. More of like a stitched on patch, if you will, that looks a little bit higher end, or like some exotic materials that don't have embroidery all over it, things like that. We've dabbled in that, but people seem to like the style we've gone for, so it's been hard to kind of experiment outside of that, niche, if you will.
Yeah. And with materials, you're right. I mean, a lot of it, I mean, especially, I guess you have to go into every cover designing it in a way that somebody's going to use it, and it's going to be on their putter or their driver or whatever club for years to come. So that kind of has to maybe sometimes limit you in terms of the creative side of saying, man, this material would be awesome to use, but there's no way it'll ever hold up for more than, a short period of time.
That's probably a better way to look at what you were talking about earlier. Is we've had plenty of covers gone on to, it embroiders fine, right? And you get through the construction process of actually making it, and it just falls apart. So that has happened plenty. And the funny thing is there's this at the beginning when we started Hatch. That's kind of like the origin story of the alter ego guy. Is they were called bad eggs. So we made a whole bunch of covers at the beginning that looked like crap, but they worked. They were functional, but they kind of like, either had just whatever could be wrong with them was probably wrong with them. And we called them bad eggs. And, once or twice a year, we kind of release bad eggs as a whole, and people love it because we charge $30 for them. They're kind of like, people like to game them. They like to put them on their bags because, they don't want to ruin maybe the
good ones.
100 whatever. So but yeah, that's where like we slapped on the bad egg kind of patch, and then this guy kind of took on a life of its own, and people were like, you should put that on a head cover. So we did, and from there it's been absolute mayhem with that guy. But yeah, it's kind of funny how we've been able to even have a market for stuff that doesn't really turn out. So yeah
and then with these like kind of collectors, I mean, like I said, collecting of the accessory side of golf, I mean, there was kind of, at least when I got into golf, which was like early 2000, I worked in a shop, and I remember everybody wanted Cameron head covers, and that was a big deal back then. And you got like the My Girl, the Holiday, or whatever, and it was like, wow, it had a special head cover, and that was kind of cool. And there was a lot of collectors, but then it all is now. I mean, if you're a guy who's into ball markers, there's ball markers. If you're a guy into towels, there's towels. If you're whatever accessory you're into, there are plenty of options out there. But in terms of the collector side, like how interesting has it been to basically you started a brand and now you probably have like super fans quoted, like who literally try to get everything you make. I mean, they love what you do. They love the designs, all that. Like how weird is it to kind of start a brand and then all of a sudden have these fans who really do like what you're doing and who are really, into it? Like that's got to be pretty cool or feel kind of like like you kind of made it in a way, like these people really do appreciate what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's humbling, and one of the things that we said from the beginning is that we were just gonna like literally like take care of the customer always. I think if you talk to anybody that's owned a hatch cover or collects hatch covers, the customer service side is where we have tried to go above and beyond. And I think me and Brett and our transparency on the forums and the pages, has kind of set us apart from a lot of other companies. I'm constantly updating, the groups, if you will, kind of what's going on, or, maybe why this didn't ship right away, or we had an issue with something, like totally transparent. And people have, because again, like at the beginning we were learning. And so we were involving people in that process. And I think it kind of went full circle this year when we had our hatch event locally, and we got to meet, guys that have been collecting our stuff since, the previous year, and just like seeing their bags and their covers and all, like we had a couple of guys that probably switched out a cover every other hole or every hole. And it was awesome. I mean, it's so much fun. And funny enough, I had a neighbor friend that went down to Texas and just wanted to get out on the course, and he got paired with a guy that had a hatch cover. I mean,
that's awesome.
He's like my neighbor. He's got all my stuff, and so he's talking to this guy, and he's like, "How'd you hear about hatch?" And so he's like, "I know the guy. I
live next door to
him." So it's kind of been fun to hear stories like that. I haven't been. Probably because I have a newborn, I haven't been like out golfing at different courses like I used to, but it would be really cool to like go to a course and then like be paired with someone randomly, and then they have my stuff. Like that would be that's like a goal or a dream, right? But it's so humbling, and the thing that we want to keep going with is just always create new stuff. If you look at all the stuff we put on the site, it's super limited. And that's not to like raise the secondary. I think for me, like, yes, we could just throw one cover down and make 100 of them. And like, it would be a lot easier for me, and it'd be a lot easier for the team. Because I can tell you, like, our heads are spinning usually with how many things. Like, if you look at what we did for Halloween this year, I think there's going to be 14 different designs.
Wow.
In a week. And, don't ask me why, but I think it lends itself because I like to create and I like to do different things, versus just making 50 of one thing and then dropping it, and then 50 or 100 of the next thing, So, I think that's one of the biggest things is just, seeing new things all the time. And, but yeah, I think going back to, sorry, I'm rambling. Going back to your original point it's really nice to see people, collect and message and reach out and, tell me why this one spoke to them, or this one they loved because of this. Like, oh, my little kid loves, purple and pink, or, whatever it may be. Like, so different things like that.
And with those collectors, I have to say, like, the one thing, at least that I, when I travel around kind of the golf world and the forums, especially, WRX, there is a lot of, like you said, a lot of stuff is limited, and you only make 50, 100, whatever the number is of these covers. Like, how hard is it to satisfy? Because, I mean, in terms of saying there's 100 covers out there, there's probably way more than 100 collectors who want to get their hands on that cover. How hard is it to kind of go between, do you make 1,000 and kind of supply almost everybody, or do you still make the 100 and make them still really coveted? Like, it's got to be tough to kind of hear the rumblings of, I want more, but also you want to make it where the stuff is still limited, because the people who do get it, it's even more special that way.
It's like I take an economics class every week. That's what it feels like, honestly. Because I mean, we want to grow, but like we want to keep it tempered, if you will. We could, like, I think originally, like, Superstroke's a good example. They came to us and they wanted 500 covers, and we're like, well, that's going to take us forever. It seems like we're not going to be able to do that right away. So even like I think they ordered 150, and I mean that was like we've never done that like for one cover. I think most of our releases are under 50. I would say
Wow.
well, like 50 blades or like
Yeah.
but like yeah, I mean of any specific cover, I don't think we've gone above 50 maybe once.
Wow.
Yeah, most of it, like even like this week, I think most of them are probably high teens to low 20s to high
Wow.
20s. I mean, and there's like I said, there's different designs. So like if you take everything as a whole, 13 different designs or 14 different designs, and you're looking at it across the board, it's probably going to be like 500 covers, right? Total. But it's 13 or 14 different designs divided by. So for me, I could have, done 2 designs and done 250 a piece, right? And it just, to me, that just seems more boring. But yes, getting to your point, we get tons of messages. A lot of people go to the site and they're like, they think we're out of business.
Everything's gone.
Nothing to buy. Like there's towels and shirts, and there's not a head cover. I mean, there's a couple, I think, but yeah, trying to figure that out. I wish it was as simple as like, okay, we sold 25 of this and 25 of, and then the next release is, okay, we sold 26 and we hit one new customer. And then the next week we're like 27, we hit one new customer. But it doesn't work that way because, again, you got people who collect different things.
Yeah.
It's just there's people that buy to flip, and there's people that buy to collect, and then there's people that buy to game, and trying to hit that market specifically is really tough sometimes, but we do our best.
And you're right. I mean, there's certain things like, Halloween's going to reach out to somebody and grab them because they're really into Halloween, and that's cool. But then, like, you maybe do a holiday cover that somebody's like, it's holiday, whatever. To them, there's somebody who uses it, and they're like, well, I'm not going to use a Santa-themed putter cover in the middle of July. Like, I want something that's a little more universal. So if something comes out that's more their color, and there's always people who probably, if something's green or blue or red and it speaks to their college or there's something, they're probably going to, reach to that, where something else they may not want it. But there's probably also those people who want every single one and they want to have like the entire collection.
Yeah. No, I think we have a few people who have bought every single release, and we got some special things planned we started cover of the month this past December, where we do a new cover each month for people who bought a spot, and we got some good ideas planned for those people, and we want to do something. I think Lambs actually put it into place. They did a thing where like the top, I don't know, 15, or I don't remember what the number was, but the amount of people that like their highest spenders got different things, and we like that same thing of rewarding people who positively speak about the brand and collect and really so into our business. But I completely forgot your question.
I don't know if I really even had it was something about, I don't think there really was one. I think I was just kind of saying like, yeah, there's certain, because I think even with me, like I said, I'm not a guy who jumps out and buys tons of covers, but like what I said, when I see them out there's certain ones that I'm like, wow, that's absolutely awesome. And then there's other ones where I'm like, I don't think I'd ever, really, like, it's not me. And I think that's, probably a lot of people out there who have that kind of same thing. So it's, yeah.
A couple good examples, I'm learning, right? Like I'm a designer and not everything speaks to everybody. So, there's things where I see the feedback like, hey, I didn't like that design. I'm like, well, I appreciate it. Someone did, right?
Yeah.
A good example was our Masters this past year. We did kind of did like a floral theme. And that's probably a good one is when you asked me about how it kind of turned out on the actual, like, as the thing. And we liked it, but I think as we got the whole set together, it was like kind of like looking more feminine, right? And more like, I don't have a picture of it. Maybe you can throw it in there. I don't know how that works, but like it had a bunch of flowers on it because we did a flower for each 18 holes. And, that's probably a good one to say, like, when it was sitting there on the embroidery and we're like, we like it, but like we couldn't figure out how to get it to pop more, essentially, or kind of like, ugh. But like it was kind of like kick off our Masters release, and we had some interesting feedback about that cover. It's probably one of the only covers on the site that you can still buy. Which is funny. We have a running joke in our shop with Kate. She's our golden egg girl. If you don't know about our golden eggs, usually every release we have a couple golden eggs where they're different and unique and special, and that's kind of how we do our specials, if you will. And if she likes it or she thinks it's really good, then we got to change it. So that's kind of where we're at. But like speaking to what you were saying about holidays, is yes, for some reason Halloween, people love Halloween covers, but like Christmas, like you go throw a Christmas themed idea, typically they resell poorly, and unless you love golfing at Christmas time, like they're not your ideal, covers. And I think maybe the Northeast, or Midwest, if you want to call Michigan, sometimes golfers check out this time of year, right? So they're not thinking about golf. They're getting into pickleball indoors or racquetball or cornhole, I don't know, something else. Skiing, I guess, right? That's probably better. Skiing, snowboarding, things like that. But yeah.
No, it's and then like now you've transitioned into, and I didn't know much about this. I just kind of like saw it on the site, was some events, which I think it's always interesting because like here at Golf WRX, I mean, everybody's always like, you need to do an event, and it's. I think in everybody's mind, it's so simple. You just like show up at a course, a bunch of people show up, you play, and everybody has a good time. And there's so much more that went into it. But it looks like you're in your third event now that will be coming up. Just going by V1, V2, V3. I mean, I'm not an amazing podcast host, but I can do simple counting sometimes. But how did like the event thing start up? Because I mean, that had to be, at least the first one, I would think, being a relatively smaller, newer company, there had to be a little worry about, okay, who's going to show up, who's going to buy in, who's going to want to do this, like. But now you're on to 3, so you're comfortable. But how did the events kind of start out?
Yeah, I think it's funny because it's like, how did all this kind of come to? With the events, it was kind of like all, again, like we have a very strong following. Our customers are amazing. I mean, the amount of stories for charity that they've done and things that we've raised, money that we've raised, and just the way that they're all tight knit, and people just, they wanted to get together. They wanted to golf. Brett and I kind of have a standing tea time, if you will, every January at Stream Song. We go to Florida every year with our family, and we always make the trek up to Stream Song from Naples. And we're like, well, let's get some Hatch guys together, and we'll put it out there as an invite. And last year we had, I don't know, like 20 or so guys. I think it was just under 20 sign up. It wasn't meant to be big, but we also put this, I think, right around end of November for a month and a half away. People different things like that. And it was like, it was awesome. I got to meet some collectors for the first time and play and gamble some cover deals with fellow people. I had a guy that I bet, like, he has a company and he wanted to kind of work with us. And so I said, if you beat me, then we'll do it. And we tried. So I said, all right, well, that's fine. We'll do it anyways. Dinger's Golf is that guy. Great company. He does a lot of cool baseball, golf kind of things. But yeah, and then what happened was everybody was like, we got to do a Michigan event. So living at Huntmore, I'm not sure if you played there, just Brighton area. So, well, I live on the course. Let me go talk to the owner and see if we can do something. And so I bought the course out for the day, and we had 60 guys come for the event all over the country. And it was an awesome event. I mean, people were thrilled with it, and we're like, I guess we're doing something right. I think another thing is it helps having a design background, because all the signage and all the things that we kind of put in place help tremendously. If you don't have that background, you gotta pay a ton of money to get some of that done. My wife owns a company. I do all her graphics work, and I'm like, if you didn't have me, babe, you'd have to. So. You have to be hiring people all the time, but it's just we were gonna do Stream Song again. Now, love Stream Song, great course, great facilities. Don't know if you've ever been there, but extremely expensive. I'm like, because I think they raised their prices from last year, and it just skyrocketed the prices for us. We're like, okay, well, anyways, but that's just a thing. We're trying to, we want to go there because it's a destination spot. I mean, if you've never played there, it's something that's like nothing you're going to experience in Florida golf, let alone like probably almost in the world, in the country. I've never played a course like Stream Song, so it's pretty unique, and it's hard. It's a hard sell when you've never been there and you got to buy an airline ticket and do all these things. But we have, we're pretty much sold out. The problem is that Stream Song wanted half the people to lodge there, and a lot of the Florida guys that want to come, we don't need to stay there. So we're trying to work out how that's all going to work. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at now, is our third one. And I think Stream Song is a lot more intimate, less people. I think we cap it in the 20s, whereas the one in Michigan, we'll just make it as big as we can get it, just to have as many guys out there and do as much fun stuff as we can. So
that's pretty awesome. So the next Michigan one, you got to let me know, because I definitely want to come hang out and see what it's like and all that. So that's pretty, but that's cool. I mean, like you said, I mean, just kind of, it's got to just reinforce that, like you said, you guys are doing something right, that people like what you're doing. Because, with the creative side, there's always going to be people love it, hate it, whatever. Like you're never going to be able to please everybody. So like you said, being able to put together some events of some people who really bought in and really are down with what you're doing is got to be pretty awesome. What do you think is kind of the next thing for you? I mean, like I said, I think head covers will probably always be your bread and butter, and that'll be kind of the thing. But like, is there thoughts of doing like bags or doing some type of shoe collab? Like, and you don't have to, like, if there's something in the works, you don't have to tell us. We're not, we don't need to, like, spill the beans. But I mean, is there something kind of on your list, like 2, 3, 5 years out there? You're like, man, I'd really love to do these type of things. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot that I want to do. I still spend a lot of time sewing, still spend a lot of time, social media and marketing, and kind of like taking photos takes forever, loading stuff into Shopify. Yeah. Think of it this way. Like, if I didn't have 13 designs to put into Shopify, if it was just one, it would save me 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, so we've had a lot of interest in bags. We've reached out to a couple of companies. Mackenzie, we love their stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like the hatch style. They get more of a vintage look, but we thought about, like, it'd be cool, kind of like a mashup with like bright neon colors, and like doing a little bit different thing with that. But we are in the works with doing something with Vessel. Tons of requests for Vessel. I've got 2 or 3 Vessel bags that I just absolutely love. The best bags in the world. And my brother-in-law also has, and we like to, it's fun for that. But I mean, it's not like we want to get into apparel, but I do love bringing, like, I wear Bad Birdie, full disclosure. Like, I don't have anything that I've made so far that I feel comfortable on the course in. Even hats wise, I just haven't been able to find the right manufacturer, the right fit. I got a big head. That's a whole nother side story. But
same here.
Yeah, so
same here.
Like, this is my favorite hat of all time. These ones, I'm sure you're familiar with the P.
Oh yeah, yep.
The Puma P, Flex Fit 110s, definitely by far the best. Best hats. So we're trying to. I think the problem that I spoke to earlier is, it's like we kind of pot shot it in apparel. So like, we'll do something here and then something over here. There's no consistency. So I think down the road, having a full feature, kind of fall line. I think a good example is maybe Asher. Love their stuff, and before, I feel like recently they didn't usually do a lot of apparel. They were doing more gloves, and then they got into doing apparel, and their fall lines and spring lines, and they're doing all these things that are different than what they were doing a couple of years ago or 3 or 4 years ago. And I actually really like their stuff, and I'm like, for me, I want to get stuff that I would wear on the course in my own gear, my own stuff. So I'm kind of working towards that. The issue is, again, there's nowhere in America, I feel like, that you can do it at I haven't found anybody that's like got the styles and the fit and the different things. So I'm kind of like going the the Alibaba route right now, just seeing what kind of comes from that. It's not my ideal situation, but it gets the ball rolling, and maybe we'll see. But that's kind of like the immediate future. Obviously, like long term, working with Scott Stallings was kind of a really fun door opening, and I thought about this kind of unique opportunity where being a designer, I can pretty much design any cover that you could think of.
Yeah.
And kind of working on some one-offs for different pros and seeing how that works out. Because he was kind of mentioning, he was talking to Keegan Bradley and, Streelman about my covers. And I'm like, this is like,
It's great.
Yeah, it's real. It's crazy. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see where this takes it. And, I get to work. So I'm kind of working on a project with Scott Stallings right now. But yeah, I mean, just different things like that. Just anywhere I can kind of use my creative outlet is kind of where we're going. We did talk about introducing like scorecard holders. We got all the tools and the machines to do all that. Valuable pouches, things like that. So we're kind of just trying to see what works right now. We've got a lot of requests for these things. You know how it is. I feel like you get a lot of requests, but then the actual buy through or sell through is 10%. So. That's why if we do a vessel bag, we're probably going to do a pre-order for the first one, just because they're a little pricey. But hopefully that answers your question.
No. I mean, trust me. I'm from the Golf WX forum world, where everybody in there wants like the 100-gram X Flex, double X Flex, whatever shaft for their 3-wood. And if you go talk to a shaft manufacturer, they're like, yeah, if you know how many of those we would sell, like 5.
Yeah.
We're not rolling this out for like 5 sales, even though 30 people say they want them. We'll see how many we sell. So I totally get where you're coming from. But finally, the last thing I want to hit on you is, you're a golfer. I mean, from, like I said, following the Hatchet, you tend to seem like you post a decent amount of playing some golf. Maybe not as recently with the little one, but we got to go through, man. What's in the bag? What are you playing when you're out there?
Oh, geez.
And I love it.
I don't know if you even know this. It went viral like 2 or 3 years ago. I signed a contract with my wife, and this went viral on like all kinds of different podcasts and forums and all these different things. And because I was like a tinkerer, I was not just a tinkerer, I was obsessed. I had bought, like I said, I mentioned 12 putters. And the long story short is it came from a deal. I worked with a golf company, and I said, you guys can pay me in golf equipment, and I'll design you this, and they're going to pay me in golf equipment. And that just led to this addiction of just changing stuff constantly. But now I've kind of settled in. So my wife made me sign a contract, and I know for all those you guys like, my wife would, I would divorce her or things like that. I'm like, my wife is the sweetest wife, and she is 100% behind me on all my golf stuff. And I mean, she's way more lenient than I feel like any other wife would be. Even the fact that I took a job where I said, pay me in golf stuff, the fact that she didn't kill me is a miracle in itself. But right now I'm playing PXG pretty much across the board. I like I'm going to get these wrong, like 0211 STs, I think they're called.
Yeah, the blade.
And they came with an Elevate shaft. And I had never heard of this before I got them, and I absolutely love them. I love every aspect of my clubs right now. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the driver, the PXG driver. They had a good deal on it with the shaft. I got a CK Tensei Pro Series or something, I think it's called, and I love that shaft. I used to smack the crap out of it with my M3, and I got the PXG to replace it, and I just haven't liked it since. But yeah, and then putter. Everybody's like, well, what cover do you rock, or what?
That is true. Yeah.
What putter? I've had an Odyssey 10. I think it's kind of like the Spider remake, if you will, with the big line on the top. And I've had that for 3 years. I haven't changed.
Oh, it's the first one.
Yeah.
That was the first one. Yeah.
It's my. I mean, the fact that I haven't changed the putter in 3 years is a miracle. I do have some custom-made Toulons that my wife bought for me for Father's Day, but I don't really rock those out on the course very much. But the cover I use right now, I've got. It's funny that my brother-in-law used to make fun of me because I never made a cover for myself until just this August for my event.
Wow.
I gotta have something for myself. So I have I have that coastal vessel bag that they released around the Open, and it's got like this little gradient, and so it's like a bunch of blues and greens in it, or blue kind of tealish colors. So I do I have an alter ego. It's kind of like a mutant crocodile with alter ego patch or kind of logo on it with a white gator. It's pretty unique. It's the only one we ever. But right now we actually, funny enough, we released a Halloween cover last night. Frankie, it's a Frankenstein guy, and I just absolutely love this guy. So I had to put him on my bag, and I usually don't do that. I like to stay pretty neutral with what I and I just had to have it. So typically on all of our covers, I'm always like, we try to keep one, as you can see. Yeah. But a lot of times I just tell Brett, just sell through and sell them all, because I don't want to keep them. I don't know why we keep them. I'm not nostalgic in that sense, and I'm always like, I can just make it if I need to.
I guess that's a good point, but I mean, if you look back at it now, like, I mean, the most famous guy ever, I mean, Cameron now, like, I mean, the whole references now online that people have from every cover that they ever made for every event, like, to go back and you to be able to maybe in 10 years put a sidebar up on the website that lists literally every cover from start to finish would be pretty sweet. It would be kind of cool.
But we'll try. Yeah, and that's like, we're probably never gonna do that. Where I'm like, we should just make it again. I just say that because
no.
But yeah, that's what I've got right now. I got I think actually all through the board. Yeah, it's PXG. I was thinking driver, 3-wood. I have a TaylorMade P790 2-iron. I think is what.
Oh, the UDI.
Yes, and I love that.
Yeah.
Car. So I like longer irons. I don't really like woods and hybrids very much, but.
Well, yes. We're kind of exact opposite. I've just put the 7-wood in the bag this year. That was the first time ever. So since like maybe like high school,
7-woods are getting like really popular.
Dude, I tell you what, 5 7-woods now are out. I mean, just on tour they're going crazy. But man, so many bags. We're seeing more high lofted fairways. So there you go. Maybe there's a niche. You get the high lofted themed head cover for like a 7 or 9-wood. There you go. The next hatch release.
I'll give you royalties on it. So
nice. So, but anyway, hey, Sean, give us it's hatchgolf.com. What's the IG handle? Because I had it up, but my phone's off.
It's Hatch Golf Co. Because for some reason Hatch Golf was taken. So
of course. But yeah, check them out. I mean, it's the stuff you guys are doing is super, super cool. One of these days, when you have the next Michigan event, I definitely want to come. And 2, one of these days, I'll have to come out there and check out what you guys are doing. Cause,
come by the shop.
Not that far away.
Yeah,
it'll be cool to walk around and see some of the cool stuff that you guys have there around there. So anyway, Sean, thank you very much. Like I said, if you're into cool head covers, accessories, definitely check out Hatch Golf. They've got some just awesome stuff. So thank you, man. Really appreciate the time today.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate the time as well.